यदा यदा हि धर्मस्य
गणानान्त्वा गणपतिगुं हवामहे कविं कवीनामुपमश्रवस्तमम् ज्येष्ठराजं ब्रह्मणां ब्रह्मणस्पत आनः शृण्वन्नोतिभिः सीदसादनम् ॐ श्री महागणाधिपतये नमो नमः। ॐ ब्रह्मादिभ्यो ब्रह्मविद्या संप्रदाय कर्तृभ्यो वंशऋषभ्यो महद्भ्यो नमो गुरुभ्यः। सर्वोपप्लवरहित प्रज्ञान घन प्रत्यगर्थो ब्रह्माहमस्मि सोहमस्मि ब्रह्माहमस्मि। ॐ प्रपन्न पारिजाताय तोत्र वेत्रैकपाणये ज्ञानमुद्राय कृष्णाय गीतामृतदुहे नमः। May the Almighty Lord Venkateshwara bestow all kinds of prosperity, health, wealth and eternal happiness with Paripurna Lakshmi Katakshams to you and the entire your family and friends. Let us begin Srimad Bhagavad Gita, chapter number 13, verse number 1. अर्जुन उवाच प्रकृतिं पुरुषं चैव क्षेत्रं क्षेत्रज्ञमेव च एतद्वेदितुमिच्छामि ज्ञानं ज्ञेयं च केशव. This is the first verse of 13th chapter. Some of the books don't have this verse. This verse is in the form of question from Arjuna. Before entering into this verse, just we have to finish the introduction which we began from last session. We have already completed 2 shatkams, which means the 12 chapters have been completed of Bhagavad Gita. By completing these 12 chapters, what we come to know? We have come to know who we are, what we are, why we are now in this world. I mean, why do we live in this body? What is the reason of it? All the details about individual personality have been narrated by the first shatka. And about the world, what exactly the world? And what makes world to run or function? Is there any power, that which causes for the creation? Now, world means creation. Every text talks about creation. What exactly the creation? Was there such a thing called creation, or it is imaginated by human being, or what? Because human has a kind of thinking ability. He uses the logic. Do you know what exactly logic means? If you remove all these mountain houses and everything, how far you can see? You cannot see more than a few kilometers. Your eyesight is not enough to go beyond that. Our system is limited. We have to accept it. With a limited system, we have to live intelligently. Then mind has to have a method to understand the things which is far from us. Therefore, we use logic, the pattern of thinking, and it involves assuming the things, means guessing the things. Anumana, Upamana, Arthapatti, Anupalabdhi, Shabda. So all these pramanas are valid by our mind. If I would like to know about Americans, not being in America, I cannot come to know. If anybody says in detail about the Americans or the land which is known as America, then I will come to know. So if I go there, I will see. That doesn't matter. But being in my place, I can come to know, I can get certain kind of knowledge through hearing, to assuming, to guess, by guessing. This is what known as logical approach. So that logical itself, sometimes it becomes a barrier for understanding. You cannot use any logic for your hunger. Sometimes you get more hunger, sometimes you get less hunger. You can guess, that's all. That also fails. You cannot have any logic of your system. If I eat well, I will be strong. You cannot say that. Some kind of logical approachment which have been adopted by human being, many times they go failure. Therefore, the logical approach is, because our system is limited, therefore we use logic. That logic also, sometimes it becomes a barrier for our life. We break the barrier. We never worry to break the barrier of the logical thinking. But the fact need not to be endowed with logical aspects. You may not understand what I said right now, but even though, so I cannot give an example, You cannot use a logic, all the rivers should come or should flow from the mountain. There are rivers which comes from the normal surface. So logical approachment, now and then we need, now and then we keep aside. In the same way, so logical approach to realize about ourselves, sometimes it helps, sometimes it won't. By completing these 12 chapters thoroughly, we become very clear about our individual aspects and clear about the aspects which is known as universe, or the aspects which is called as a world. And not only that, we also somehow become clear about the power which runs the show. So we had a very logical approach and we had a Shastric approach. That Shastric approach means what? It goes beyond logic, but it has got its own process. I can feel that you think everything is going on the head. Okay, I'm just, simply I'm making you understand. When we want to join in a company, the first things you have to apply, you will be invited for an interview. In that interview, you have to submit your ID. What does it mean? ID means what? The particulars, the data about you. That's the identity card. That identity card says, what is your name? How old are you? And not only that, where you belong to. What is your father's and mother's name? All the details have been given. But you should keep that identity card, that ID card, very carefully. If you lose, you won't be recognized by the company. You won't be recognized by the police. You won't be recognized by the institutions. It means what? Have you lost yourself? No, I lost my ID card. Yes, you lost just ID card. It is not that much important, because you cannot carry always. Sometimes we forget. But the value of ID card is valued by the society. It means what? The society doesn't value you. No, Swamiji, society values me. But these things, data are important, because people may not abuse my ID to others' ID. The ID is required for Vyavahara. Okay, my ID card is required for Vyavahara. Yes, sir, your ID card is required for Vyavahara, not for you. In order to transact, if you want to perform a karma, if you want to perform a Vyavahara, you need not to depend on the ID card. Anyway, after joining the company, you are going to proceed with your ability. You perform, according to your performance alone, the mark will come. Then what for that ID card? To get entry. To enter into the company, you need an ID card. That ID card has limited value, isn't it? That ID card is worthy to enter into a company. That's all. In the same way, the data of yours, And all the knowledge of the worldly object, they also have a value. That value only to reach another Sharira. They are not enough to achieve complete satisfaction. Oh wow, my God. Is it so? Yes, of course. We live with the identification. That identifications through the data which have been given by the society. We have to realize that. That's all. The IDs means the identifications. The details about me, the data about me are provided by the society. Then what about my real identity? That real identity is the path to pass the life, to get the complete satisfaction. What do you mean, Swamiji? So my real identity is not with limited I. The limited I is not allowed in the company or into the company which is known as heaven, Swarga, no, not Swarga, which is known as the world of liberation, the world of complete satisfaction, the world of complete happiness. That ID is not valued. You will be stopped in the gates itself. Then what else we need to have? You need to have your real ID. You need to have information about your real self. That will make you enter into the company which is known as the proper complete satisfaction. You know, the company is not the name of the company is satisfaction. I mean to say the company where you get complete satisfaction. In other words, also I can say the details about the worldly life is not enough for us. We have to realize ourselves, otherwise you cannot get complete satisfaction in day-to-day life. You cannot find a complete peace of our mind also. So day comes, day go. Month comes, month go. In the same way, age also passes. But we are still in the same place after even learning, earning and expending lots of money and having lots of experiences. We still, it seems to be the same place. The same kid or child, he continues up to the end of the life. He dies with confusion. Therefore, we have to study Shastra. The Shastra provides the complete knowledge, information about our real self. So by achieving which, you can proceed your life like a king. So those knowledge have been divided into two portions. The knowledge about the self, knowledge about the collective self. That's what we have completed. I gave the same information what I have given today, but in different way in the last session. The first 6 chapters, it gives the detail about Jiva as Jiva Swarupa, the real nature of Jiva, and Karma Yoga, because Jiva means who is limited with body, mind and sense complex. Those body, mind and sense complex are called Upadhi in Sanskrit. Do you remember? Yeah. So you need to have certain information about that's Upadhi. Upadhi means, medium for reflection. The mirror becomes a Upadhi. You go and stand in front of the mirror. How joyfully we stand in front of the mirror. So every day when we go in front of a mirror, so we enjoy by seeing ourselves. So how happy you are. That too, if you have hair, wow, just take a comb, just combing the hair, and after combing, like adults they do, just they shake the head after combing everything, then it arranges it itself. We enjoy by seeing ourselves in a mirror. But when that mirror, it reflects thoroughly who we are, how we are. If that mirror commits a mistake, we won't take the mirror. So we would like to see ourselves. We would like to understand ourselves. By seeing, by understanding, we become happy. If we become aware about our real nature, definitely we will become happy. The real nature is unlimited. Now this unlimited, the nature which is not born, which is not going to die, but my experience, it seems to be I am born, then what? I am going to die. So the consciousness which is my real Swarupa, which is not born, which is not going to die, but my experience says something else. Why? Because of karma phala. Oh, what is that karma? So karma brings karma phala, man. Don't you know that? Yes, my grandfather and grandmother, they used to say, is everything is because of karma phala. That is not a big deal. Who said it's not a big deal? Everything is karma phala means they are just insisting a big secret to you. What is karma phala? So karma phala means it's an account. That account is maintained by whom? So you have to dig about it. Therefore, in the first 6 chapter, we are informed about our real nature, and we are also informed about the cause of this device called body, shariram, karma phala and karma. Then how can get rid of it? Just begin with karma yoga. Then the attitude of karma yoga introduced as yajna bhavana, and the method of karma yoga also introduced in the name of yajna bhavana or loka sangraha. Then also meditation was suggested to get contemplated, to become contented with ourselves. That's what the proper sentence. So once you are contented with yourself, once you are complete with yourself, then whatever you do, that completeness will come out. When you are in peace, whatever you speak, the people can understand the sentence are coming properly. In the same way, complete knowledge about ourselves is unfolded by our 6th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, first 6th chapter of Bhagavad Gita. The second 6th chapter, it provides the knowledge which is beyond us, the knowledge about the creation. Just I was talking about the creation, why the creation had happened. Was it happened really? Yes, it had happened really, but it is not. What? You said it happened? Yes, it happened really. Then, but it's not. How can, sir? You said there was a creation, there was no creation. There was a creation means it's not a particular time, the creation is on and on. Just when we began this class, at that time your face was filled up with some kind of tissues, means all the cells. Now there are certain cells, they might have died, the new cell could have been replaced. The replacement of self, a cell dies, decays and dies, and the next cell is replaced. That's all the srishti. That's what is the pralaya is. So old is removed, then new things is brought. The creation is on, sir. Yes, there is a creation. Therefore, Shastra says, yes, the creation is there. But Shastra denies not as you think, not as a particular day, and there is going to be a judgment day. On that judgment day, everything will be collapsed. The water will fill and pralaya will come. All those things were told in the beginning. Why? Because you were scattered. You were not focused. Shastra needs focused mind. The mind which is completely focused. Then it talks about creation. It talks about Maya. It talks about Ishvara. And it spoke about everything. Then finally, how can we get connected with that power? That is known as Bhakti. Therefore, in the second 6 chapters, we saw the real nature of Ishvara, the author of the creation. And what is creation? What is pralaya? And what exactly goes in between? Everything was told in this second Shatkam. Then finally, Bhakti, which was the proper construction. You can construct a bridge between you and Ishvara. That construction is known as Bhakti. Why should I communicate? Why should I get connected with him? Because you can get a proper life. The world is not under your control, my dear. So when the things are not in your control, then you need to have a contact number of the person who controls it. If you have the phone number of a commissioner or a collector of your IAS officer of your city, you can be confident. But at the same time, if you are doing wrong things, having their number becomes dangerous. In the same way, when you follow dharma, having the contact number of Ishvara, life becomes easier. And there are 5 levels of bhakti which we have completed, the 5 steps. The total 12 chapters have been completed with the 5 steps. After the 5 steps, means the 5th steps which we are about to begin. 4 steps have been completed. So from Karma Yoga, means the Sakama Karma Yoga was the first step. Nishkama Karma Yoga was the second step. The Ekarupa Bhakti was the third step. Anekarupa Bhakti, which was the 4th step. Now Arupa Bhakti means Nirguna Bhakti, which is the last step. And what is the benefit out of this 5th step? No longing hereafter. No fear hereafter. A completeness. You become whole. You become complete. This, the 3rd Shatkam, is a magic. It's a wonder. It's a secret. It's a suspense. It's a thrilling experience. Why? Because you are going to be compared with collective consciousness. Your consciousness and collective consciousness. What is the connection? The connection is going to be revealed. The connection is Aikyam is the connection. The oneness is the connection. Oneness, how can it be a connection? That's what. There is no connection at all because both are one and the same. Then why we are talking about the connection? Why? Because we experience our limitations. We feel the difference between other object. Therefore, this teaching hereafter, it will be towards the supreme thing. The travel begins now. In the first verse, Arjuna begins with all the technical terms which were used by Lord Krishna in those 2 Shatkams. Prakritihi, Purushaha, Kshetram, Kshetrajnaha, then Jnanam, Jneyam. Krishna, I would like to be clear about these 6 kinds of technical terms which you were using often. What are they? Prakriti, sir, Purushaha. Those 6 words are 3 pairs. Prakriti, Purushaha. Kshetram, Kshetrajnaha. Jnanam, Jneyaha. So even Arjuna was not understanding it. Therefore, he put as in the form of the question. We'll begin the meaning from the next session. Harihi Om. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om.